For this segment of A Bit of Addison History, I want to call your attention to a local organization that recently celebrated their 50th anniversary this past March, the Addison Historical Society. The idea for forming a historical society was conceived by the Addison Historical Commission in early 1974. The purpose of a society was, quote, to spur community interest. An informal community coffee sponsored by the Historical Commission was held and resulted in the decision to form a historical society. The first organizational meeting of the group was held on March 7th. Officers elected at this meeting were June Heinrich, President, Bob Blackwell, Vice President, Elvira Hinkle, Secretary, and Marlene Lieseberg, Treasurer. The group decided as its first fundraiser to sponsor a flea market and quilt raffle on March 31st at the VFW Hall. The event raised several $100s and was followed by another flea market in the late fall. At the same time, the society recruited more people to serve as directors and began to promote charter memberships in the organization. Individual membership dues were $1 per year at this time. In the summer, the society participated in the village's 4th of July parade. Participating in community parades would later become an almost annual affair during the tenures of the Community Days Parade, sponsored first by the Addison JCs and later by the Community Council of Addison. From its earliest days, the Historical Society strove to engage the youth of Addison. By September, discussion of forming a junior historical society was held. And by January 1975, a junior membership at just 25 cents per year was enacted. At this time, the society undertook a village vehicle sticker design contest in cooperation with the Historical Commission and Village. Over 100 entries were received, and the winning design was submitted by a Mrs. Carol Chaplin. The first of many society field trips was held in December of 1975. 9 members visited the Elmhurst Historical Society and Gloss Mansion. Over the years, the society has visited such other historic sites as Cantini, the Sheldon Peck Homestead in Lombard, the Joliet Area Historical Museum, and Fabian Villa and Windmill, just to name a few. By the following March, the history pamphlet, Addison 1833 to 1976, compiled by Society President Pearl Morris and Society Secretary Elvira Hinkle, and prepared in cooperation with the Commission, the Bicentennial Commission, and the Addison Public Library, had been printed by the Society and was available for sale at 50 cents a copy. Also at this time, the Society was assisting the Historical Commission in transforming 5 rooms in the former police department area of the municipal building into a museum before its planned July 4th opening. In August 1977, the Historical Society held another quilt raffle and flea market, but this time on the village green. The quilt raffle fundraiser would continue on well into the 2000s as a regular component of the Society's annual fundraising efforts. In the spring of 1978, the Society held a naming contest for its no-name newsletter. The name Salt Creek Tatler was suggested by member Marion Daldorf, was chosen out of the submissions. The mostly monthly newsletter contained information on museum operational hours, society programs and events, and tidbits about Addison history. The newsletter was produced by the Society until 2016. In September 1978, the Society sponsored the first of its popular Around the Cracker Barrel programs. The programs featured Society members who were longtime residents of Addison, reminiscing about the village's past. The first program featured Bill and Louise Stunkel, Arnold Mueller, Gus and Emma Heidemann, Martin Casta, and Lydia Kragi. In November 1978, the Society held its first annual potluck dinner. The event is still held today. Over the years, the potluck has been hosted in different venues, such as board members' homes, the Century House, restaurants, and more recently at the Addison VFW Post. Along with food and fellowship, the potluck usually includes some sort of entertainment or program. Starting with the 1979 Community Days Festival and Parade operated by the Community Council of Addison, the Society regularly held its quilt raffle and flea market at this event and participated in the parade with either a handmade float or a walking group. The Society won several awards over the years for their creative float entries. In both 1980 and 1981, the Society decided to sponsor a contest for high schoolers as part of the Historical Commission's History Week events. Students were asked to submit a 10 to 15 page typed essay or an exhibit of art, photography, or maps about Addison. The top 3 winners were given a cash prize, ribbon, and a copy of the Addison History booklet. In January 1982, Society board member Pat Wellahan, inspired by the delicious food at the Society's potluck dinner, suggested that the Society publish a recipe book as a fundraiser. Recipes were solicited from the Society's membership. The book, titled The Old Mill Cookbook, was published during the summer. It was such a success that the Society considered doing an updated book for the Village Centennial in 1984. Since the museum opened, the Society has often used its funds to acquire historical pieces for display and was charged to provide tour guides or docents. In August of 1982, the Society acquired the Hoosier Cabinet, now on display in the Century House kitchen, and the 2-piece kitchen cupboard that is now featured in the Life of the 19th Century to Early 20th Century Addison Homemaker exhibit on the 2nd floor of the coach house. In September 1984, the Historical Society held its 10th anniversary dinner dance in conjunction with the Village Centennial. The program was called the Old Mill Celebration, and members of the pioneer Heidemann and Stunkel families of Addison were invited to receive certificates of award from the Historical Society. Over 50 people attended the affair. The remainder of the decade, however, was marked by a lack of quorums at board meetings and fundraisers and events being canceled due to a lack of interest and volunteers. In 1988, the annual potluck dinner was even canceled. To learn more about the Society, join us for part 2 of their fascinating history, coming soon. The Addison Historical Museum is comprised of 3 historical buildings. These structures include the museum, located inside the historic 1892 Balzer home, the restored 1893 Century House, once the home of Lutheran school teachers, and the 1932 Coach House. For more information about tours, programs, and archives access, please visit the museum section of the Village of Addison website.